Alright, so in this video we're going to focus on solving equations with at least two steps. So these two-step equations are multi-step equations. And we're also going to look at how maybe you can use that same strategy down here with these word problems. We're going to be setting up an equation and solving down there. I'm going to kind of jump around, do just a couple here and there, and let you try a couple. Let's start off with number 16 over here. And you see number 16 says b divided by negative 4 minus 7 equals 14. So remember, when you're dealing with multi-step equations, still focus on the side with the variable, and then get rid of that 7 first by doing the opposite of subtracting 7, which is adding 7. So I'm going to put a little plus 7 down there. And if you do it to one side of the equation, you have to do it to the other side. So I put my plus 7 here. So now, some people will keep it like this in the fraction form. So b divided by negative 4. I have a lot of students that prefer to write it like this. So b divided by negative 4 like that. Either way is fine. So if you like the fraction form, keep it as that. Bring this b divided by negative 4 down like that. If you want to write it out horizontally, you can write it like this, b divided by negative 4. Either way, it is the same thing. Now from here you go ahead and do 14 plus 7, get 21. And then to finish this problem off here, do the opposite of dividing by negative 4, which is multiplying by negative 4. If you do it to one side of the equation, you got to do it to the other side. So times negative 4 here. I'm running out of room right here, so I'm going to write over here to the side. So you get b equals. Now this will cancel out right here. So divided by negative 4 and times negative 4 cancel each other out, just like the minus 7 and the plus 7 cancel out each other out right here. Sometimes you'll see me circle that, show they cancel out, but sometimes I think people put an X over some of them, but you don't have to necessarily do that, as long as you understand it cancels out. So here when you do 21 times negative 4, you get negative 84 for that first answer there. Let's jump and look at number 17 over here. So we've got another multi-step equation. Still focusing on the side with the variable. And get rid of this number here. This plus 4 is going to get sliced away by saying the opposite, which is minus 4. So opposite of adding 4, subtracting 4. Do it to one side of the equation, do it to the other side. So this will cancel out here. This is what I was talking about, where you may see when you circle it like that, show it cancels out. But you don't have to do that. Like I said, some people exit, but usually I just leave it blank. So here you get 2a equals, and 6 minus 4 is going to give me 2. And to finish this off, the opposite of multiplying by 2 would be dividing by 2. Do it to one side, do it to the other side. So you see a is going to have a value of 1 there when you do 2 divided by 2. Some people that I've taught in the past, they prefer to write this out. So instead of having 2a, they'll write it like this. They'll say kind of like a times 2 equals, what was it, 2. And they'll say, okay, opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. So to one side, do it to the other side. And they still get a equals 1 when they do that. So that's another way you can write these steps in here. I've told my students in the past, either way is good to go. Let's check out one more like this, because this one has some negatives over here. So focus on the side with the variable for number 18. Opposite of adding 5, subtracting 5. Do the one side with the other side. So we bring down the 3w and the equals. This cancels right here. It's plus 5 and minus 5. Now negative 7 minus 5. If you're not sure what that is, you need to write it to the side, you could. So negative 7 minus 5. You can always copy, change, switch it. Some of y'all know this keep, change, flip. Have you learned it in the past? That's fine. We talked about this back in August. So here, if you do copy, change, switch it, you'd have negative 7 plus negative 5, which is negative 12. And then just simply finish this off by doing the opposite of multiplying by 3, which is dividing by 3. Do it to one side, do it to the other side. And here you get negative 12 divided by 3, which is negative 4. So that's a couple examples there of some multi-step problems. You see 21 and 22 have some combining like terms and then go into these multi-step problems. Let's check out one of these. Let's check out 21. So here I'm going to combine like terms before I do any equation steps. So here I can combine the negative 6h plus h. Now remember, if you don't see a number in front of the variable, it's an understood 1. So this is like saying negative 6 plus 1. That would give me negative 5. Put the h with it. And over here we've got 4 minus 3, which is 1. So put plus 1. And now all this equals 11. So now we combine like terms. We can follow the same steps we were doing in the previous problems. So over here, focus on the side with the variable. Opposite of adding 1, subtracting 1. Do it to one side, do it to the other side. Get negative 5h equals 10. Plus 1 and minus 1 cancel out. Finish this off. Opposite of multiplying by negative 5 is dividing by negative 5. Do it to one side, do it to the other side. So here you see h is going to have a value. When you do 10 divided by negative 5, it's going to give you negative 2. Now, let's check out how we can incorporate some of these word problems down here. I'm going to jump to 24 and look at that one. It says the temperature is 10 degrees Fahrenheit. It is expected to fall 3 degrees each hour for the next several hours. And how many hours will the temperature be negative 11? So let's talk about how we set this up. So over here, it's 10 degrees. If it falls 3 degrees, there's different ways you can show that. You can show it as a negative 3. Some people just say subtracting 3. So we'll go ahead and set it up one way I've seen it done in the past. I'm going to write it over here. So let's see, we got 10 minus 3, and then 3 degrees for each hour. So times how many hours that is. And it says the end result would be negative 11. So that's one way you can set this up. Now I used h for hours. You can use whatever variable you want. When I show you the answer key here, surely it'll have an a in there, so it doesn't matter what letter you choose here. Now, what I would suggest you do is try to get that variable in the front. The big mistake I see people do a lot of times is they'll start their equation steps, and they'll say, okay, they'll put a 10 right here, and they'll put a plus sign. So they'll say, hey, I got to do the opposite of subtracting 10, which is adding 10. I say, that's not subtracting 10 right there. So subtraction sign goes with the 3h. So it helps them sometimes to see it to get that 3h in the front. Now, you can't just switch this stuff around with commutative property if it's got subtraction. You only do that if it has a addition sign between it. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this minus 3h to plus negative 3h. That's the additive inverse. So now move that negative 3h to the front. And bring down that plus, and that 10 goes back here. And it equals negative 11. This is what I was talking about right here. Notice it's not going to end up being the plus 10 like we talked about for the steps. It's going to be a minus 10 underneath this here. So that sometimes will mess up people who don't take this step here and put that negative 3h in the front. So over here, opposite of adding 10 is subtracting 10. Go to one side, look to the other side. I'm going to write my steps over here. So now I get negative 3h equals, when you do negative 11 minus 10, that's a negative 21. If you're not sure where that comes from, like we did up here, you could always write it to the side and copy, change, switch it. Now to finish this off, the opposite of multiplying by negative 3 is dividing by negative 3. Go to one side, look to the other side. Here you see it's going to take 7 hours. So our final answer there is looking at 7. That's one way you can solve this problem. Some people I've seen in the past, they don't write the first line. They go ahead and write their equation like this. Negative 3h plus 10 equals negative 11. And then just solve it from there. So you don't have to necessarily write the first line that we did. If you want to write like this, that's another equation that would be acceptable here. Alright, I want you to pause the video and take a second. You see you got a couple problems up here that are one-step equations. Don't worry about those. When you try these elements, you're starting with 15. So try 15, 19, 20, 22, 23, and 25. For 23 and 25, see if you can set up an equation and then solve that. 25 is a little tricky, so I'll be interested to see who can kind of tackle that one. It's a little bit difficult when it comes to setting up an equation and solving it. So go ahead and pause the video, and then have a second to look at these. Try them on your own. Alright, so we had a chance to try these problems. Let's look at the ones that we've not done yet. Now the key when I copied it was a little bit messy, so we'll see if we can walk you through some of these steps here. So when you did, let's get that up just a little more. Okay, so when you did number 15, you should have subtracted 14 from both sides first. And you notice I've got the circle here showing what cancels. That's all that means. So here when you do 20 minus 14, you get 6. I wrote it horizontally here, which is what most of my students have chosen. So a divided by negative 9 equals 6. Now opposite of dividing by negative 9 is multiplying by negative 9. Do it to one side, do it to the other side. So you should have had a final answer for number 15 of a equals negative 54. For 19, here opposite of subtracting 9 is adding 9. Do it to one side, do it to the other side. So this cancels. 5 plus 9 is 14. I wrote this one out either one of these two ways here. So b times 2 or 2b equals 14 for the next line. Now opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. Do it to one side, do it to the other side. And a lot of you may have written it like this. That's fine as well. You should have gotten 7 for your answer. So that says or right there. So you can do this step here or this step here. Either way, you get 7. A lot of the same steps in number 20. Subtracting 3, opposite of that will be adding 3. Do it to one side, do it to the other side. So this cancels here. So here you get 3c or c times 3. So you do negative 6 plus 3, you get negative 3. Opposite of multiplying by 3 is dividing by 3. Do it to one side, do it to the other side. So you should have had an answer of negative 1 for number 20. I think you can probably see this one pretty clearly right here for number 22. The big thing is you got to do 11a plus 2a. And then once you do that, you get 13a minus 9 equals negative 87. Follow the equation steps and you get negative 6 in the end there. Now for my equation setup for number 23, I use the letter A. Some of you may use, B for a bag of birdseed, or like I said, it doesn't matter what letter you choose. So if you got 4 bags of birdseed, trying to figure out the cost of that, so 4 times the amount, and then plus the $11 bird feeder that you already bought, should equal 59. That's my setup there for that one there. And then once you start doing the equation step by subtracting 11 on both sides and dividing by 4, you see 12 as your final answer there. In other words, each bag is going to cost 12 bucks. And finally, the one I thought was a little tough, number 25. So you and your friends spend a total of 20 bucks. So you plus the friend's price should be 20 bucks. Next line tells you your friend's lunch is $4 more than yours. So you can take out friend and put in however much you pay plus $4. So the way you can set this up like an equation is right here. You see I've got, instead of writing u again, I put y plus 4 equals 20. So your price plus your price plus $4 will give you 20 bucks total. And then combine like terms here. So y plus y is 2y, and then bring over the plus 4 equals 20. And now do your equation steps to solve this here. Subtract 4 on both sides, then divide by 2 to see 8 is going to be the value that you spent for lunch. So that one's a little tricky, a little hard to set up in an equation form, but hopefully some of y'all were able to tackle that and I get that correct. If you did, job well done. So this video is just going back in and talking about some of these 2-step equations or multi-step equations. Some of them have a little more than 2 steps. And basically how you can write an equation based off of a word problem solving. So hopefully this is very helpful for you with some of the things to come. All right. See you.